Hello world! Welcome to Decode or Not to Code. I'm merely Eva and I'm happy to be here. It's our third session trying to build an AdventQRlendar, which is kind of like an advent calendar, and you have 24 doors that you open each day leading up to Christmas. However, instead of chocolate, you will find QR codes in our QRlendar, sorry. And those QR codes will lead you to funny memes or Christmas songs or whatever you like, really, as it will be completely customizable. I'm fairly new to coding, so I cannot build this on my own, but don't worry. Stefan is here to save the day. Hi, Stefan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing super good. Well, I'm trying to
Great.
save the day. Let's see how this turns out.
I'm sure you will. So how far did we get last time? Just to give a quick overview.
Yeah, let's have a look at our solution. So we have, perhaps let's start the thing and see what we got.
Yeah.
So in the first session 2 weeks ago, we basically built this randomized grid. We see it's random because currently the 21st is the top left item, and if I navigate to somewhere else and navigate back, now it's the 9th door, and you have up to 24 doors. We will use this later on for the front page of the calendar, and now we built some sort of backend thing under air quotes where we can enter currently any text. Later on, it should be URLs that we then can convert into QR codes. And so I entered just some text here, and we got some basic binding going so that the text that we enter here now shows up. This is generated by C# code. So we got the basic setup, the basic communication between the HTML and the C# code ready, which is merged in the Razor files within the Blazor application that we built. And now it's time to replace these with QR codes, and then eventually, jumping back to the calendar, having a second grid, which represents then the underlying page, which now contains the QR codes, and then you print them. Then you print both, do some gluing and cutting, and yeah.
Yeah, DIYing. And then you've got your AdventQRlendar.
And yeah, so when we jump a little bit into the code of the QR code section, let me bring them side by side. Solution Explorer, we have built, let's go to this page. We have here the QR codes page. If we have a look at this page, we have a rather simple loop of enabling 24 doors, and for each of these doors, we create this QR code item component. I actually get a warning. Not sure why this is there, because it actually does work. We have here, this is the component where we have the door number, the preview, which is when we enter here something, hello world. Now we have here the preview. And we have the input. The input element is here that we then if we navigate away from this element, then we have the onChange event fired, which then in return, if we go to the code behind, I'm still calling it code behind. That's from a WPF lingo. Not sure if this applies also to Blazor applications. We have here the Razor file, which is a combination of HTML and this add notations, where we can then interact with the code behind or have inline C# code. And here is the code behind. So we have this partial class. We had a look at what partial means last time. And where we have now this, where we inject the QR code service, which we use to create which we want to use to create the QR codes. We have a JavaScript runtime that we need to interop with the browser in order to, when we have the QR code ready, display it as an image. And here's the door number that we inject from the outer loop of the Razor file. And we are consuming a package. If we go to the CS project, oops, I hit the wrong button, sorry. If we go to the CS project, we see we are consuming the package reference QR coder, which enables us to render QR codes. We had a look at several methods of creating this QR code. So we also created quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
We also created our QR code service that we use in order to get the QR code. For now, we do the string, and this is actually where we confirm the interaction. We say we return the string QR code plus the URL, and this is exactly what we get up here, QR code plus the URL that we enter here. And now we need to exchange this with QR code and then have this interop with JavaScript in order to display the QR code here. And yeah, I guess that's our state from last session. It's exactly as it was last time.
Well, I think we did quite a lot, but like, what have we got planned for today? What are the next steps, I guess? Well, we need that second table, but we also want the QR codes in the QR page to be visible, right?
Yes, but so exactly. And we also, I guess, first move is to perhaps, instead of the preview here, having text, actually, let's get, is this what you meant?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay, sorry, then I misunderstood you. So I promised to have a bit of a look at how the JavaScript interop works in Blazor, and I did, and let's see if I can remember. Let's go to full screen code mode. So what we had in the code behind of the component last time is we built up this method here. Let's bring that back, where we somehow need a stream. We pack this stream into a .NET stream reference, and then with that want to invoke some JavaScript. So first of all, we need the stream. So I guess the first move here, rather than returning the string here, because the string, we don't need the string. Let's zoom in a little. Let's return, actually, this very byte array that we created last time. We had a look at several QR code generation techniques, and we ended up with using the PNG bytecode. I think there was something else which didn't work in Blazor, which only works on Windows only. So we have here this PNG byte array. Let's actually just return that. So we changed the return type here also to a byte array. And now the QR code service return gives us, we put in, well, it's currently an URL. Later on, we should do some validation here. Perhaps let's add a to-do for that, actually. To-do.
Yeah, good idea. So we don't
change
forget.
to validated system.uri is the type that we could use instead of a string to have a strongly typed representation of an URI. And okay, so we get that byte array. Let's jump back to the code behind of this component, and we do inject this QR code service. So we have this one available. So we can now get this byte array. Let's call this byte array. Let's call it data, or QR code, I guess, is a good name. QR code. And we invoke this service and get our get QR code. Invoke our get QR code method, where we pass in the URL. But I'm not sure if this works actually. So what I want to do is go to the actual code, to the Razor file, and change this on change here. Okay, pun not intended. So what we do here is actually having we use the add notation here to create some C# code. So we have some inline lambda method here. And actually want to move this to the code behind, so that the C# is in one place. And I think we can do this by basically stating the method here that we want to invoke. And since this is the input URL field, I call this on URL changed. So we should now be able to create a method here. Actually, yeah, let's make this one. So we make this one void, and we call that on URL changed. And this gets what I copied from the other thing. The parameter is this changed event args. And these changed event args, if we have a look at them, they have an object. So this is what we get from the changed input field. So this will hold our URL. So we can say value. Since it's an object, we need to toString it. And this should give us the QR code. Now we need to turn that into a stream. There's actually several streams in .NET. You can have a file stream. No, I can't think of anything else. But so a file stream is a stream which represents a physical file on disk. But what we can also do is a memory stream, which just exists in memory. So we can new up a new memory stream. And this actually, and this is the convenient way, actually has several constructors. And one of these constructors actually takes a byte array. So yeah,
yay!
is exactly what we need. So we put this QR code into this memory stream. Then let's store the stream in the variable. What we need to be mindful about, stream, a memory stream derives from stream. It's in a systems IO namespace. And stream does implement idisposable and also async disposable. So we should dispose of that at the end of the method, or when we don't need this anymore. So what we could do is at the end of the method call stream.dispose in order to, so it's good practice. I don't think we actually, since we pass in here a byte array, I don't think we actually need to dispose it to really get rid of all these resources, but it's good habit to do so anyway. But what I want to say is instead of explicitly invoking dispose here, we could also just write a using here. And this using now makes sure that at the end of the method, this local variable which implements idisposable is actually then disposed. It's actually done in a try finally block in order to make sure that it really is disposed, even if there is some exception popping up. Perhaps we can have a look at exception handling in a future episode.
Absolutely. But didn't we also use this in a couple of other files already? I kind of, it sort of rings a bell already.
The using?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the using has actually two usings. Okay, so the using keyword. We can use the using as a using, what's the name? Declaration? No. I always forget what it is. So there is a trick in Visual Studio. I have the syntax visualizer here. And with that, I can have a look at what the C# code actually means. So, okay, so this is a using directive. And these using directives, they import namespaces. So if I were to remove this using QRlendar services, now the code doesn't compile anymore because this QR code service is in a different namespace. The namespace that we are currently at is declared up here. We are in the AdventQRlendar components namespace. However, this QR code service we have declared in the AdventQRlendar.services namespace. And now I need to use the full name. So I could write the full qualified name, which includes the namespace. I could say AdventQRlendar.services. QR code, and now it compiles again. And this is the full qualified name. It includes the namespace. But this makes the code a little bit lengthy, and especially if I use, or in other languages, I think in JavaScript this would be called import. I hope I'm matching this the semantics correctly. But if I have multiple types of this namespace, then I write this a lot of times. And in order to shorten this, I can basically make this namespace available in the entire file by placing a using directive on top. And now all of the types available in this namespace can be referred to with just the type name.
Okay, so fabulous. So they look the same, but they do completely different things. Is that?
Yeah, completely different, because the using down there, if you have a look again at the, did I close it? No, syntax visualizer, there it is. Now my syntax visualizer doesn't work. Does it? Yes. This is okay, it doesn't really have a thing. So that's a using keyword. I think, there it is. I think this is a so-called using declaration, because we declare a variable called stream, but as a using. And what this actually does, perhaps we could have a brief look at what this actually does. So I go to one of my favorite pages. This is a bit advanced, but sharplab.io. What sharplab.io does is I can put in some code, and it compiles it and then decompiles it back to C#, where we can basically eliminate some syntactic sugar. So let's bring in the namespace. The memory stream is in the system.io namespace. So let's bring in using system.io. And now let's write the same thing. Using var stream equals new memory stream. And this is syntactic sugar for, let's bring them next to each other. The using var here is syntactic sugar for declaring the variable, which is basically this part. And the rest of the code is the using. So it creates a try block and a finally. Everything which comes after the using will be in the try. So I could, for example, write to the console and also throw exceptions. I just threw an exception directly. This is not really code that you write, but to showcase. And whenever an exception is appearing and we are not catching it, then the method will stop working. And if the caller doesn't catch this method, eventually the application could potentially crash.
Okay.
But we have a finally block here. And this finally block is ensured to be called even if there is an uncaught exception. So this finally will definitely be called, because potentially the caller of this M method could be catching this exception in order to save the application, that the application doesn't go boom. Yet still, within the method here doesn't know what the caller does. But it ensures with the finally here that we eventually, so we check, is this memory stream not null? And if it is not null, then we invoke the dispose to make sure that everything is cleared if there is something to be cleared. And
so it's kind of like a safety net.
Yes, to make sure that everything is cleared, to avoid potential memory leaks.
Nice.
We are using a memory stream with a byte array. I guess there is nothing to leak actually, because it's all managed objects. But it's still good practice to apply this pattern, because perhaps later on we use the memory stream differently, and then there could be some leaking resources.
Okay, fabulous.
And this is the using. There's also an async variant of that. But okay, this would totally I would digress a little bit. So we can also write a wait before, because if we are in an async method, we can also have an await using, but it's basically still the same. The basic premise is the same. It ensures that even if an exception is happening, the resource is cleared.
Nice.
Hui. Great. Now we have the stream that we ensure that it's disposed. And this is actually our image stream that we wanted. And now we wrap this image stream in the .NET stream reference. Now again, I can imagine this is also, this also implements iDisposable. So we write another using, which does the very same. There is another try catch to ensure that if an exception is happening, both of these are disposed.
Great.
And now it's time to invoke our JavaScript. And what I copy-pasted from the Microsoft page last time is here this code, but I made a mistake here that I realized just today, is that I copied, this is a JavaScript file. However, the syntax that I have here is if this was in an HTML file or in a Razor file. So this is not JavaScript. This is why we get some warnings here. Also, this is bad. So what we actually need, I am going to the documentation, is I need to have a look how this works because I'm not super familiar with JavaScript. So this is actually a code that we got here because we want to stream image data.
Yeah.
Because we don't physically have this file available. There's no PNG on disk somewhere or in the application available. So what we now want to do is, I also talked about JavaScript isolation. So what we really want to do is do that. We want to export this function. So I will change our code here. We get rid of the script. Now we also get code highlighting because that was wrong. And export this function. I don't know whether, I think the async needs to be here. So async means that
No.
We
couldn't that be like a complete session?
I'll come back to that last time. I need to come up with a more concise description of that. But it's basically a promise that it will finish. It doesn't mean it finishes instantly or synchronously. It could finish later on. Perhaps there is a database call, and the database is maybe on the other side of the world. So first we need to send network messages between those two sides of the world, and this may take some time. Okay, perhaps a couple of milliseconds, so it's not instantly. So this may finish not immediately, but later on. But it's a promise. Eventually, this should finish, even though if it times, well, it could time out. So it's a bit of a deferred thing, which eventually comes back to us. And this is what the async does. And and this is the code that we got. So the image, the stream that we pass in, now actually they are getting a buffer form there, doing a blob. I don't know what that means. creating an URL object, I believe, in order to trick the HTML, in order to think, okay, this is a file, and load that file, although it's just in memory. Then we get some element at which we then set the image source, which means we actually need an image element. So let's jump back to our code. I'm actually in the code. To the correct thing. So the preview. Let's make this an URL. So we say URL here.
Okay.
Not the URL. URL is bad. Image. IMG. That's the right thing. And I'll give this an ID. Give this the ID QR code.
Okay. And
now we need to get a hold of this JavaScript that we set up here. So we need to grab this JavaScript that we can actually invoke it, and the documentation tells this to do it like here. So we should in the on after render async method, we can get a hold of our JavaScript with that. So I'll copy this code, override the on after render async method, and I so this is called after rendering. So when the render tree is actually put into HTML.
Okay.
And we get a Boolean, it's true, on the very, very first render. And so if we actually change something, then parts of the HTML need to be re-rendered. And we only do this once. So we can say only on the first render, pasting in the code. So this needs to be async, because async enables await. And then we get a module. What's the type of this module? The type of this module is IJS object reference. So we'll need that as a field. I'll create a private module reference here. Okay, and we need to use the correct path. We are in components QR code item. So let's say here, oops, that was not, sorry. No, Control C, no, I made a mistake.
What happened?
Everything is gone.
No, what?
I changed the
Why?
name. That's bad. Undo.
Oh,
No. Redo rename. Undo rename. Damn it. No. That's
what
bad.
happened?
I failed. I hope I have something in my trash bin. I don't. No. Okay, that's embarrassing. Damn it.
I don't.
I need to do it again. No, it's all gone.
I don't understand how that just happened. How did you do that?
I wanted to copy the name, but I cut it.
Oh.
And then then I had 3 files with this. I don't know why it removed all the other files.
Okay. That's weird.
I'm afraid. Damn it. Okay.
And
Great.
you can't
Let's do
undo
them
it.
again.
That's so weird.
No.
Uh-huh.
So let's. Damn it. That's embarrassing. Okay. I need to create it again.
That's beauty about live streaming. Woo!
Okay, so we need a new C# file. Come on. Damn it. QR code.cs. No, .razor.cs. And we need our JavaScript file. .razor.js. All right. Okay. We grab the image JavaScript. We export this as an async function.
Okay.
I think, do we need this then? Not sure.
Sure.
Perhaps there is an example how to do this right. No, we don't need this. All right. Now we grab. Now we need the JavaScript thing. The JavaScript engine. I always forget the name. That we inject. Okay, let's get a hold of this. Here we go. Let's make this type partial. So we can actually extend this. We do the override on render async. Where is it? On. Nothing works anymore.
But just for our viewers, if you're interested in partial classes, we spoke about this last time because I had no idea what it was, and then Stefan was just so kind as to explain. And I think it's good. It's sort of good, repetition, so you can see it again, and then you'll all know how to do it. It's good for me, at least. I always have to repeat everything a million times before I even begin to understand.
Damn it. What do we need to do in order to make this? Because I was hoping to have the override on, but it's not there. Okay, we first need to inject the IJS runtime, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We need to inject our QR code service.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of properties from the, perhaps let's put them side by side. We have the door number. That is also an input. That's, I think it's parameter.
Mm-hmm.
And we also made this editor required. Okay.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, and the URL. We have here this URL field, which is a string. All right. Now onto the private void on URL changed method. This will be async, so I'm actually writing async here as well to indicate in the name that this is an async method. It doesn't finish synchronously. It returns a result somewhere. And I'm still doing something wrong with the component. Let me Google for Blazor component. Those are pages, partial class support, Blazor.cs, exactly. Component, use components. Yeah, we just used them.
I think that's the difference in like people who've started to code for like just very recently, just like myself, and people who've done it for a long, long time. It's just the speed on which you scan those pages. I literally have to sit there for like an hour and like read everything. It's like, could that be a thing? And I feel like people who've done it for a long time just go, oh yeah, that looks right.
Nah, I just still have no idea what's going on. Okay. So what did we do? We first wanted to get a hold of it on the binary. So we want the QR code, right?
Yes.
That we get from the QR code service.get QR code. Now we need this event. So we have here the changed event or something. Changed event args.
Mm-hmm.
These. Where we say e.value.toString. Okay,
yes.
So now going back to the page to work with images, because this says it's somewhere to get a hold. So here we have the JavaScript and here's the code. Yeah. Let's grab that.
See, that's what
and we get the image stream. Yeah, new memory stream. There it is. We do an await using here. An alternative way to write this is we could place, instead of the var here, we could remove the type here and put it over there.
Okay.
And now the new here knows it's this type.
Okay. And it's a lot more readable.
And because then the type is always on the left-hand side. I'll do this here as well.
Nice.
So we have our byte, we using our memory stream, using this. Okay. And then we want to invoke our JavaScript. And for this, we now need to override this lifetime of this Razor component. But I didn't get is the name correct? QR code item.razor.cs.
Looks good.
And it's also partial. So this should, perhaps I need to derive from something. Let's have a look at Blazor. We are having a component with a code behind. Oh, code's behind. It seems to be called code behind. Woohoo! But this is always pages. I need a component. How do I create a component and have the, well, Blazor custom component, perhaps. Yeah, no, actually, I have no idea what I'm doing. You see, I'm doing 50% Googling.
Yeah, but isn't that like, that's just a job, isn't it? Like, I don't think, I think like if you want to be successful in IT, you have to learn how to Google. I think that's one of the most important skills.
Perhaps have a look at here, source available on GitHub. Components, my first component. It's just here. Okay. Damn it. Is there something weirdly set up in the CS purge? No. Perhaps I need to rebuild.
I have this thing because I'm really new. Like when I get stuck, I always ask somebody to explain it to me, and I sort of give up too soon. I give up Googling too soon. And so we've started, like, when I ask friends for help, like while coding, they don't send me the answer. They literally send me what to Google. And I type that into Google, and then I try and find the solution myself. And it's sometimes really, because they literally think like I give up within like the first 5 minutes, but I've sat there for an hour just like looking for the solution, and I've literally just Googled the wrong thing. But yeah, that's part of the learning curve, I guess.
Well, I guess it's part of the story to know how to Google.
Yep.
Or search, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, whatever search engine, obviously.
Bing and DuckDuckGo and all the engines.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we get, now we need this lifetime method, the over, I go cheating. I have a look at a previous project from mine.
Ooh, what project?
So, okay, I'm not going into all too much details, but we do have some components in here. And one of these components should, no, that's a page. I want a component. It's just like so, and the code behind is just a public partial class. Why does this not work? It should. Namespace is also correct. You know what? Perhaps I give Visual Studio a restart.
Oh, okay. That also, I guess.
Now we get a build error. Go away. Also. No. Oh, perhaps it doesn't. But why is this not building? It is building.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do wrong. This is bad. No. I'm hoping to have here that I can override. The is it protected? I think it's protected. I rarely override. So overriding a method is, since this is partial, there should be some other class that this class derives from, which comes from Blazor, and some methods can be overridden in order to replace them with custom logic. And this is the on render something. Okay, let me find the name again. Maybe it works if I do it manually. Maybe just auto completion, but I doubt it. We have here the lifecycle events. This one. Yeah, and it complains that no suitable method found to override. So the partial thing does not really work. But this is what we... no, why did I break it? Rebuild? So I have my .razor file here. I have a QR code razor.cs. The name has to match. QR code, item, .razor, and .razor.cs. So this looks actually all right.
If any of our viewers have any intel on what might be wrong, let us know. But also, like, what are the different things that could potentially, like, we've already looked at the names. They need to match.
We do have a comment that I just realized now because I'm 30 hours stuck in debugging. From up to SF45, he says hi, or she says hi. They say hi. Sorry.
Hi.
Oh, now it works.
Oh, perfect.
Now they're here. Great. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Great. Okay. I think we are now there where we were 30 minutes ago.
Fabulous. Amazing. We got there in the end.
Okay. So what did we want to do? We wanted to get a hold of this the module. Yeah. So that's the thing that we wanted to do. Where we grab this module. This is of type IGS object reference. So we again create our private module field here. And we'll assign that. So we are going to await the JavaScript. We import, and now I need to select the path, which is components / the name of the JavaScript file, index.razor.js. I don't know if we need that. Let's have a look at, because this is the example of loading a script from an external JavaScript file co-located with a component. And that means it's not like a globally available thing, but only for this component. So we do export the function and we import it like this. Okay, so this should be good now. Yeah, okay. And what we can do now, I hope, is actually leave it like this. That's great. In our method here, now actually invoke that. So we will say module, and we call the method invoke void async. There's also a there's also a non-void, so an invoke async, which actually returns something, but our setting the image is void, it doesn't return anything. And we call set image. That's, we still need to give that a name, right? Set image. And this is our JavaScript function. Let's put this side by side. At the bottom, our JavaScript function, the set image, which is this one. Then we get in the image element ID, which will be used to set the URL to, which is our image. This should actually be QR code, because this is what we set here. The ID is QR code. And then, I hope everything comes together, is we pass this image stream, and everything is good and everything is great, and I'll see what I did wrong now. Or perhaps it works. Knock on wood. Let's go here in the shared view, perhaps. If I enter something here, it doesn't work. No. We get an error saying cannot set properties of null setting.
Okay.
So we actually see this, the onload here is failing. I guess the image, the ID, I think I did the ID wrong. Yeah, I had an uppercase C.
Oh, okay.
And not the lowercase c. So
That makes sense
let's start again. Let's go full screen.
Nice. Full screen. For big.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Took me long enough.
Woo! Not bad. It's
And
a bit
can we?
massive.
Excuse me.
But
It's a bit.
it's massive. It's a bit
Indeed.
massive. That's a good description.
Actually, I
Oh,
have
that's
two
so
problems.
cool.
So if I
Okay.
enter something down here, then we
It
replace
changes.
this first element. Because we only have
Okay.
one ID.
Okay.
We actually create 24 elements, but all of them share the same ID. And I guess ID should be unique, so only the first one is taken. So ID is bad here. We need to, in the JavaScript, we need to refer to that element. Blazor get element. A Blazor pass element to JavaScript. Trying to find something which, because I have a déjà vu. It's the, I already know there it is. It's the ref thing. So we can get a reference in our Blazor code.
Okay.
So from the razor, pass it to the code behind of the component, and then pass that to the JavaScript. So we can say add ref, give that a name, but I don't know the type of this thing. It's element reference. Okay, let's try that. So we go back to our code and we go to the razor code. We do add ref here, give that a name, QR code. Now in the code behind, we give that thing a name. So that's a private field, a private element, no, element reference, right? Our QR code. Let's use proper capitalization. And now we pass this QR code to the JavaScript. So here is where we invoke the JavaScript, and we actually see the first, let's put it like this. So the first parameter is the identifier, set image, and then we have a params array. So we can pass any number of parameters. We have two, QR code and the stream, which is here the QR code and the stream. So instead of the ID, we should be able to pass this element reference, which means in the JavaScript, this is no longer an image element ID, but just directly the image element, which should mean that we do not need to get element by ID here. So we basically just get rid of this and replace the images here. So we say image onload, image element onload, and image element source. and I build, and this may work. And of course it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Do we have some error?
Yeah.
Not really. Is it? Perhaps the element doesn't work. Let's go into debugging. There's the breakpoint. Still something. Calendar. Let's enter something. Then we go into the thing, and we can actually have this QR code element. We'll inspect it. That thing is null. Okay, that's not good. So this ref doesn't seem to work. Let's put them. Can we do this? No. Perhaps I do something wrong with the ref here. And go back to the documentation. It says add ref, and then under quotations. I do have the quotations here. Okay. They should be the same name actually. And there it is. It's a private element reference. Element reference. It's the same thing that they do here. And now we should be able to pass this down there. Ooh, there's my mistake. I have a variable with the same name. I have a local QR code. I have here the QR code field, and here a local QR code, and now this is the local wins over the field. So I'm hiding the field. I'm passing in the byte array. Yeah, that's bad. So let's call this QR code element. Renaming worked. So we now call the QR code element, and we now see that, we're passing the QR code on the QR code element. And let's give that another try.
Yes.
Going to the QR codes, if I enter something, and then another thing. Ooh, okay.
Yay!
And let's
nice.
Sure, we actually have different QR codes.
Different QR codes. Perfect.
All right. But you said
nice.
It's massive. So
let's massive.
Get rid of the massivity. Is that a noun? I don't think so. So we have the get QR code method here. And is there anything we can have an influence on? Here we hardcoded 20.
That looks promising.
What's that actually? That's pixels per module. What I will do is I will parameterize this. So I'm adding a new parameter here, the integer pixels per module. So now the caller can decide what they want. And here let's try 10. Let's see if this brings a good result or a better result. Well, it's just a preview, so actually it shouldn't be doesn't need to be super big. Perhaps we can even go like, I don't know how low we can go. Like that's limbo dancing, right?
I don't know. Oh yes, limbo. Is it called limbo dancing? It's just limbo in German.
Just
so,
limbo.
Right?
Okay. How low can we go?
There is no limit.
There is no limit? What if I try 1?
Oof.
Ooh, I like it.
That's cool. I love it because it's almost the size of the text field. Great.
Yeah, I loved it. Cool.
Great.
So now we are there where we wanted to be half an hour ago. Do you perhaps have 15 more minutes to add to our hour today to make up for some lost time?
Yeah, sure. 15 minutes. Okay. 15 minutes on the dot. On the dot. I'm looking at the time. Great. Let's do it. 15 minutes to finish the AdventQRlendar.
Also, no, that was okay.
No, it's not gonna.
So because the next move is now to bring this thing, what you said, to have on the other page, on the page. So moving away from the component, moving to the page, to have a second row here. Perhaps we could split up a little. Perhaps we then get it done in 15 minutes. Could you have a look to create a second table here? And if
on my own?
Code
Or will
share
you
still
help
works.
me? Yeah, well, I'm trying to find the... I'm not sure if it works because I'm on a different... Oh, I'm just on a different thing. No, I'm here. Hello, am I here? No, I'm not here.
No.
I don't see my writing. Oh, that's sad.
Perhaps can you does it work if you rejoin the... yes, because I restarted Visual Studio in the meantime. So I'm not sure. Perhaps you need to Actually, I think I need to create a new session. Live share.
Okay.
I'll create a new session.
Let's do that.
Start a new one. And I will send you the link in the private chat. Because what is what you need to be mindful about the live share, you can create a read-write session or a read-only session. And what we're doing is a read-write session, so you can actually change code. But if somebody from the internet would join in, they could actually run command lines on my system and potentially delete something. So yeah.
That would not be good. Okay. Let's see. It's still loading. I'm sorry. It's very... Wait, didn't work. 1 second.
Perhaps, while we are connecting, because what we talked about is we wanted to perfect that a little. Tooling today doesn't seem to be on our side.
Yeah, it's strange. It doesn't... Oh, wait. Okay. It's just very, very slow today as well. But no problem for pros like us.
Why do I have to laugh? That's sad.
I'm getting there.
No. I mean, no. I didn't. I mean,
oh my goodness.
No. I meant like me.
Oh, the sun is again in the... Oh, that's so cool.
I can't even rename a file.
This is working. No, it doesn't. Oh no, it doesn't work. See that my camera is like completely in the ray of sun. So it still says I'm joining the session. It's still like loading. It's not. Oh. Could be promising. No, it's still loading. So what kind of URLs are you going to put into your AdventQRlendar?
.NET, some .NET blocks to our set.
Classic.
Well, will we end up with 24 sessions by end of November?
No, we won't. We'll have like 8 sessions.
Great. Then I think. Then I have a third. Then I have a third of an advent calendar ready.
Okay, so where's the? I think I'm here. How can I find the file again? I have to go in the...
so it's in the pages directory.
Yep.
The QRlendar.razor.
Oh, the QRlendar. Oh no. Okay, I'm here. Okay, so we need a second table. Fabulous.
We need a second table.
So
right.
Could I just copy paste it? Could I just literally
let's try that, and
see.
we can perfect it later.
And so what have you got? We literally copy pasted a table that we sort of go. We have a for loop, and we go through the rows and create table rows. And for the columns, we create table data, right?
Just create
No.
the box. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the boxes. And the problem is probably if we try that out, are they going to be next to each other? Are they going to be on top of each other, or what's going to happen? Do you think?
Let's see. We have calendar. Yeah, they are vertically aligned. I guess that's good enough for the beginning.
Okay,
perhaps
perfect.
we put a paragraph in between that we get some line.
Ah,
But we have another
okay.
issue that the second one only has the 19th. So I guess we could potentially run into trouble with the QR code assigned to the URL that we did in the other table, in the other page. I mean, so let's add a paragraph in between the tables to get some spacing.
What did I do? Is that not the? Oh yes. Is it just P for paragraph, or what is it?
I believe so. Yeah.
I'm struggling with my keyboard today. So it's gonna be just like, and then the closing P. Closing P. Is that it?
I'll save that. Oops, let me put this side by side. Let's save it. And yeah, great. Now we have some spacing.
That's so cool. I did it.
But okay, we do have an issue with the.
No one is proud or surprised except for me.
No, this is great.
I'm very happy.
So the next,
the
next moment of
don't
success
match.
is we actually talk about this before we started, before all our issues, because what we do here
was it before all our issues, or did we have some?
Before some.
Depends on what kind of issues you're talking about, I guess.
Okay. That's for another session, I guess.
Yeah.
We basically only support 24 items. So what we wanted to end up with is we again use this on after render. No, actually, we had a look at the lifestyle, the life cycle events of Blazor, and there is so we see there is a first render per component, and we wanted to hook into the on initialized. And so when this component is initialized on init, then we want to create this array, and then we actually want to get a hold of this collection so that we have the same numbers every time. And we can do that by basically we create here 24 numbers that order then randomly. So let's get a hold of that. Change these numbers into a array. So we change this into an int array. And basically assign that in this initialize. So we say numbers equals this ordered by collection, and we convert this to an array. There's a toArray method. Continue editing. Okay, so we don't need this iterator anymore. We don't need the get next anymore. Perhaps we want to get the number. Perhaps we rename the get next into get door number, where we pass in the row and the column. And this could now go into our array and get this element. So, row and column is 2-dimensional. Our array is 1-dimensional. So what we can do is to index into the numbers and basically just multiply row by column. However, I guess we are one based, but arrays are 0 based. So the first element is an index 0. So we need to, no, this, yeah, we need to, hold on. This will cause potential issues. No, so we need to increase the row and the column by 1. And then subtract 1 from that, I think. Let's see if that works or if we get some array issues. And we have our random here. And we have our rows and our columns. And instead of hard coding 24 here, we could actually also say columns multiplied by rows. And now going back into the code here, we could say, okay, let's say get door number, passing in the row and the column. And we do this for the new table as well. And let's rebuild and apply changes.
Okay. I mean, I'm aware that we only have like 5 minutes left, but I didn't quite understand why you added 1 to the columns and rows and then subtracted it.
Yeah,
Potentially, if we have like a minute, go over that again. Just for my brain.
Let's assume we have a advent calendar with only 4 elements. And an array is a one-dimensional collection of items of contiguous element. The first element is at index 0, the second element at index 1, the third element at index 2, the fourth element is at index 3. So the entire length of this thing is 4. Now we have our rows and our columns. We actually also start them in our for each loop. We also start by 0. But if we would omit those plus 1s here, then we would multiply 0 by 0.
Oh.
So if we would be in column number 1, we would have still 0. So I'm plus 1ing this to get the actual to get from a 0-based world into a 1-based world where the first element is 1. So we can actually multiply it. But then we're now in a we are now in a 1-based world. So this result is 1-based. We need to go back to 0-based by subtracting the 1 again.
Okay.
And this is how and alternatively, we could have those rows start. Perhaps this could make it more readable. Perhaps if we have this row start by 1 at 1 and change the loop to not be lower than rows, but lower than or equal to rows. And here as well. Now we could get rid of this 1 0-based. No, actually we could only get rid of this plus 1 here. We still need to get the -1 in order to come from the 1-based world to the 0-based world.
I guess that would definitely make it easier, a little bit easier maybe for me, because in my brain when I looked at it, I was like, okay, if we have plus 1, and then -1, in my head, I was still at +1. I felt like we had to, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make sense to go back to 0 by just being able to subtract a 1, but that makes a lot more sense, I guess.
Then let's change that. So our rows start at 1 and our columns start at 1. So we can get rid of this plus 1s here. We only have row multiplied by column. And then we subtract 1 by it. Since C# applies the mathematical precedence of operators, multiplication has higher precedence than subtraction. So first we'll multiply these, but we still have to go back to the 1-based world, to the 0-based world, because this is how arrays work.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's see if that works, right?
We run that, it should still work, and we should now have 2 tables with the same numbers.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
And we do. So we have 21,
Yay!
21.
That's so cool.
And at the bottom, 20 and 20. So we now have so we basically can now link with these numbers. We can link the front page with the back page, if this makes sense. And now need to get the QR codes that we do we actually manage state? So if I switch between those, so we have a couple of issues. Every time I go to this advent calendar page, it will be initialized again, and we will have a new arrangement. So what we could do to do this only once, and perhaps offer a button, something like shuffle, that we get a new order, a new random order of the numbers. But they shouldn't change all the time. This, I guess, would be confusing. And also, if we enter QR codes here, they also get lost. So we need to store state. I guess this will be the theme of the next session, to become more stateful. You are reconnecting. Tooling and infrastructure today is really not on our side. But this is indeed the quality of a live session. Not sure if you can hear me, Eva, but we can't hear nor see you. Chatting, we can't hear you. Perhaps we have exceeded our luck with tooling today. And we're also at the 15-minute, the promised 15 minutes mark. So maybe let's utilize this as a cut for today, and have then the next session around state, where we will, if we enter URLs here, URL 1, URL 2, we do have the preview image here to get a hold of this URL per index or per door number, store this, and then take over to here, where we then basically, for the whatever we entered at the 11th door will be then QR codified in here with a bit higher resolution than in the small preview image, so that it actually then becomes printable. So if eventually, if we hit Control-Shift-P here on Windows, for example, being here in Edge, so that we can print it to a PDF or actually to a printer, and get this thing to PDF/paper. So next theme will be state, where we'll also talk about services and how to register them. So we are via dependency injection. And Eva can't join anymore. I guess I have to say goodbye solo today. We'll be back in a week. So next Saturday, 9 o'clock UTC. No, hold on. Is that still? Oh, we now have a DST switch, right? It's the end of October, so there will be a DST switch. We'll be switching from plus. I am in the Central European time zone. So time zones are confusing. We are +2 currently, UTC +2, so it will be UTC +1, so it should be 10 o'clock UTC when we are back next Saturday. And with that, I say adieu. Thank you very much for joining. Sorry for the bit of a technically interrupted session today. We will definitely have some takeaways and be better prepared next time. And yeah, thank you very much for joining. We'll be back.